Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Keith Jesperson,
Bruce Davis,
Patton Clark, Robert Barno.
What's your friend?
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Lighter Side of Serial Killers. I am your host, Keith Rovere. Today, we tried to have a video chat. It wasn't really working out with the app. Some prison facilities are just horrible. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. With Pearl Fernandez at her women's facility in California. Sometimes the app works, sometimes it doesn't. So we're just going to do with her audio, with the phone call. And it said the video chat, I tried. Didn't work. You know, so sometimes it's 50-50. Sometimes even the odds even worse. You know, not in my favor getting video chats. But we tried. Didn't work. But hey, we still got the audio. So without further ado, or before I say that, if you haven't watched the documentary, I believe it's on Netflix, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, I would encourage you to watch it because that's what her case was about. She was sentenced and convicted of the torture and the murder of her child, Gabriel. It's not an easy watch. It's very difficult to watch. I mean, I talk to serial killers every day for years and years and years, you know, but any time there's the death of a child, and especially a case like hers, it's very difficult. But I would encourage you to go watch that documentary, and you know, before you watch this and hear what she has to say, it kind of puts things in maybe more of a perspective about what her case was. And so now, let's hear from Pearl Fernandez.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
Hello?
there she is.
Hey, I am back.
There you go. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yes.
Good. Good. Let's see. Hope we get a clear connection today. So far, sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Cool. Well, let's jump into it. So I don't want to take too much of your time up. We'll just start from before. Most people, when they hear the name Pearl Fernandez, they only really know you from what they read in the paper or from the documentary. Why don't you tell everybody maybe who was Pearl Fernandez 10 years ago and who is she today?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, gosh, that's very hard to answer because, I mean, okay, I've actually changed in like a lot. Before it was a lot of drugs. No, alcohol. Now it's more like getting help and growing and getting to know me.
Good.
No.
What do you think was the biggest factor in the change? You know, was it someone or something at the prison that really helped you out and made you change?
I would have to say the groups and the women here that went through experiences and shared with me their experiences and, you know, how they changed, how they've grown. Yeah.
What kind of groups would that help you out the most?
I would have to say the domestic violence ones, the anger management ones, the drug ones, the A's.
Oh, nice. And and you said when people helped you out the most, did you find that people who went through something like a similar background as yours or similar case as yours that you can relate to the most that have changed themselves? Did those type of people help you out the most?
No. Different types of cases helped me out. It was, it wasn't just, like something like my case or anything like that. It was, different people that came into my life and blessed me with a lot of wisdom.
Oh, that's good. And did you notice, like for me, like part of my platform is really promoting positivity, like positive reinforcement, especially in prisons. The people are showing you kindness and love and support. Where most prisons, a lot of prisons, it's all about negative, like punishment and solitary confinement. Do you find yourself that people who really showed you kindness and love, who took an interest in you, helped out the most, or you listened to them a little bit more and they helped you out more than somebody, than the prison kind of, you better be good or else, kind of idea.
No, actually, it has to do with a lot of, I say the groups, the people have to, how would you say it? You have to be there to actually talk about, like drugs and everything like that. So when you talk to these women in prison and they've been through it and done it, you actually take their advice because, of course, I speak to a lot of older heads. I don't hang around with a lot of youngsters. So they're the ones that actually give me more strength. Then you take the groups and then it opens your eyes to, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, hello?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Keep going.
It depends on the women that you hang around with who you source with here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has a lot to do with the growth in prison because everywhere you go, it's going to be negative. Everywhere you go, I could be out there, and I've got into danger and safe stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just prison.
Now, how do you protect? I know you had mentioned before to me. Obviously, we know each other for a little while. That there have been times where some people didn't like you, and you heard about they're going to try to jump you. I mean, how do you stay safe? Obviously, you stay safe this far. Is that something that you just from kind of growing up on the streets? You were aware of somebody maybe wanted to come at you, or I mean, how do you protect yourself there, especially if guards aren't around?
I mean, it's not about protection. It's not about. Okay, so I sit there and walk around with my head between my legs. As in being scared to be jumped? No. I've grown with God, and I know God is with me through the whole step of the way.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And it's going to be danger everywhere. Like I said, on the outs, I've been jumped on the outs. I've done the drugs on the outs, so nothing's changed for me.
Yeah.
It's just more stronger with God.
Mm-hmm.
That's my higher power.
You were saying that while you were there trying to hide the case a little bit by saying, something you were there for like a drunk driving thing. And then the guard came in, opened up the door real loud and said, I hope you have a good night's sleep, for a baby killer or something like that. And then said some of the girls jumped you. Something like a tin can or a tuna can, like the top of a can, a metal thing. They tried to slice you with the top of a can or something like that, or the lid of a can. But again,
no, that's not how it went. No, that's not how it went. I was sitting back with some girl named Denise, and we were in the unit. 3 days before me getting attacked, I already knew that I was going to get attacked by 3 girls. My homegirl had already told me because I made good friends with some girl from the IE, and that's a gang. And she told me, she said, don't worry. She says, I'm going to get the girl that's talking shit about you. I promise you that. And I said, okay. Because I already got into like 5 or 6 fights, but not over my case, just to show that I'm worthy. I earned my stripes.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm walking into a chow hall. As I'm walking into the chow hall, my homegirl tells me, put your back against the wall so they won't stab you. I said, okay. So I put my back against the wall. As they're walking up, I just rushed them. And I started beating them. I started hitting them. And then that other 2 came from the side, and they started hitting me. That's when the one in the front sliced me on my face.
Wow.
So I have a light slice. You can't even tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a light slice. She sliced me with a razor. And then that's when they bombed us. I didn't go down. They basically put that spray. I didn't go down. And then that's when they popped up a baton. That's when I went down because they hit me on my leg. I have a little hole from the baton. That's when I went down because I wasn't going to go down without a fight. So it was nothing like that. Just a officer open no. You have them throwing little slugs like that, But it feels fucked up too. It does. It feels messed up when they do that because of the fact that it's none of their business either. They're here to work, not go into anybody's business,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it's amazing.
Being down with 3 girls, yeah, that's true.
And you even watch out for some of the women there. You had mentioned somebody that I know, Louise Turpin, that was at your facility.
Yes.
Tell that story where you actually helped her out in a situation.
That's her, the one that one of her and her husband, and
exactly.
they didn't feed the kids.
Yeah.
You talked to her?
Oh, I've known her.
I talked to her.
Oh, yeah. You tell her I said hello. I've known her for years.
Yeah, she's on B yard. Yeah, she's on B yard right now. She's in the honor dorm. When 2 girls beat her, I walked up on those 2 girls, And they weren't good. I told them, you ain't going to touch her. You're not going to touch her again, because they wanted to beat her again.
Yeah.
And they beat her with locks. They beat her with locks and hurt her real bad. So I told those girls that they weren't going to touch her.
Oh, that's good.
You know?
That's good.
And, and she moved to the honor dorm, and I was happy that she was there. Because when that documentary came out with the Dateline, a lot of girls were telling her, well, you're losing weight. She lost a lot of weight. She was good. She was like, they were telling her that that's good. She's losing weight, that she don't really got no food. People don't even help her. That that's good. She's starving, like she starved her kids. Like they were telling her a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And when she went to work, but she kept on pushing. And I told her, because she was sitting on the porch crying when that Dateline came out, and I told her, look at me. I said, I walk with my head up high because I know what I did and know what I didn't do. You know. And it's like, and I told her she'd be strong. I said, I've been here for a long time already. I said, I walk with my head up high, no matter what they tell me, or you have to bitch, your baby kids, whatever. I said, but I still walk with my head up high because I know God loves me. And that's the only thing that matters, that God loves me. You know, and she's really godly woman. She's really down to earth because she moved into my room, and I had her for like 2 days. We're baking cake together. And she showed me her recipe.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we started baking. And she was a really nice lady. Yeah, really nice lady. She is in contact with her older daughter right now. That's the only one out of the kids.
Yeah.
One of her older daughters, she said that's in college. I forgot the name. I forgot her daughter's name, but yeah, I try to reach out to my daughter too, because my daughter, she's in college right now.
Wow.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I told my sister to tell my daughter, that I said hi and that I love her. I try to pass those little messages.
Yeah, I've known Luis for a bit.
Yeah.
Now, actually, there was a documentary about you without, getting any specifics about the case. Did you know that at the time? Did they even ask you to be part of it, or they just shot the documentary without you even knowing about it?
No, I didn't know that there was a documentary. I found out through the people here that there was a documentary.
Okay.
So I didn't get the opportunity to actually come out in it. So, I mean, it sucks, but, it happened. So.
Did that make anything harder for you? Because from what I hear, sometimes if you're a high-profile case or they made a documentary about you, was that helpful or was that hurtful to you, with the people there? Did they, like, oh, hey, there's, somebody was on TV, or was that kind of more detrimental, like, oh, look at her, that kind of a deal? Was that harder or helpful for you in prison there?
It made it more harder, but it goes for everybody, It's not just my case. It goes for everybody where, the case gets shown and then all of a sudden it's, oh, yeah, well, you remember her? And, I mean, it goes for everybody. It's not, this is prison. All the women have is to talk, And
you say that
eventually it sucks because a lot of women are not mature,
Yeah, so it's mostly from the younger women there, not like the older women there are more mature, have more time in. I guess they kind of stay a little bit more away from the drama. It's more the younger women there.
Yeah, the younger crowd.
Yeah.
You got the young crowd, and then you got the older women that are more mature, already spent time here, that don't deal with that will sit down and tell you, hey, you know what, this is where, you could go wrong, this is that, because of the fact that there's so much violence and drugs here, and all that other stuff, all that,
I mean, it's sad but true that however it gets in there, it's still a thing in there. And how was it for you? You said you came back. I mean, I know a little bit about your past. I mean, even from your youth, you had some of it was pretty tough. You came from a little bit of abuse yourself, and you left school young and started drugs young. How did that affect you? Going through all that negativity yourself, are you able to take that and maybe help others with it? Like, hey, I've been through this. I've done this. Are you at the point where you can actually help other women out who maybe came from the same background and that you have growing up?
Well, I actually already have. I came out on YouTube. My play mother, Lorraine, she actually she actually read my whole, it's sort of like, how would you say it? She read it in the congregation, and it was talking about my drugs and what I lost, where I don't sit there and say I lost my freedom. No, I lost my son, And that's the most important thing to sit there and try to grow from, you know.
Yeah.
Losing a son is just horrible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually share my story with women, you know, because I was really bad into drugs and I, you know, wasn't all there.
Yeah. Now, how important is your family to you today? I know you talk to your father still a lot. And what family members do you talk to still? You have a big family, small family?
No, it's always been small. It's always been immediate family. I just talk to my father and my sister, my brother-in-law. That's really it. I just, you know, I hardly don't call nobody. I just keep to myself a lot.
Yeah. They had mentioned now that we talk about Christianity a lot too. Now, is that something, did you grow up kind of like in the church when you were younger, or is that something you started getting into once you got to the prison facility? Or he's kind of
No, I regrouped. I actually regrouped. As soon as I came here, I was not really regrouping. I was actually into the scene. And then that's when I just said, you know what, I got to make a change. I can't sit there and do this if I ever want to go home, you know. But you fall down to you're serving so much time, you know, you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, when I was out there in the streets, my dad always showed me since I was a little girl, you know, he always showed me how to be closer to God, and he's always read the Bible to us. And so I just got into it here, you know.
Now, is there anything specific, any like certain passages of the Bible or certain parts that you really hold on to that are the most important to you, that will give you the most comfort and strength?
Yeah. Yes, Jeremiah 29:11 is my favorite verse. Yes.
And what does that say? Or paraphrase?
And it says, God, well, it's basically saying God is with us and he's not going to let us go. He's always there for us. He's not looking out for bad. He's looking out for good, that we're going to, you know, progress and grow.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you think you find the most comfort in your Christian faith? Is that kind of gives you the most strength?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Good. Do you have a chaplain there that you go to, or do you have friends to pray with there and to a kind of fellowship, you know, in Christian things?
Actually, I was going to the chapel, but I haven't went lately because they have now we have to sign for ducats. So I haven't went lately. I've been because I barely changed rooms, so it's been really busy for me, and I'm working, so it's really busy.
So do you have your own Bible there to read to, or it's something to look if you have to look up passages, or give you that little strength when you need it?
Yes, I got a Bible, and I got my favorite book. It's called Calling of Jesus.
Oh, okay.
It's a devotional book. Yeah.
Oh, is it like a daily devotional? One of those?
Oh,
that's good. That's good. Oh, they're always good to have for sure. And you had mentioned a case about was it like an appeal or resentencing? What was that about? What are you looking forward to with that, or what are the hopes with that?
The 1437 is just for resentencing, for not the actuals.
Okay.
So I'm actually putting the paperwork and everything like that once again. See if it goes through. I'm praying on that.
One question that I like to ask everybody, and everybody kind of has sometimes a different answer on it. When you hear like parole boards, when you come up for parole, or maybe a judge talks to you, they almost always ask for you to talk about empathy. What does empathy mean to you in your life?
I think it would have to be that's a very hard question. Man, I would have to say alive or more,
And what was your kind of process, especially, with Christianity when it talks about, remorse yourself and empathy? What was kind of your process going through, from really for your whole life, not just from the case, but, throughout everything you've done, that we've all done, in our sinful ways, with Christianity being about forgiveness. What was that process like for you, kind of emotionally going through that, and turning the page, so to speak?
I mean, I would have to say, like, it's been, like, since I was little, it's been really hard, you know? But I've always asked God for forgiveness and asked Him for strength. And I think that's helped me a
I'm
lot.
sure. Like if you could go back to like young Pearl, when you're a teenager and you said you're doing the drugs and the alcohol, what would you say to her? Not just, don't do it, but what advice would you give her to kind of steer her on the right path back when she was like a teenager, late teens, early 20s? What advice would you give her? Because there's a lot of people listening who have a daughter or have a friend who are going through something very similar and maybe starting to head down a bad path. What advice would you give yourself, basically?
I would have to say ask for help. I've always grown up, very, like, I won't sit there and ask. Especially in our family. In our family, we're known to take care of our own.
Yeah.
So I would have to, go on that, asking for help.
And how are you feeling today? Are you feeling strong and healthy? I know you said I had a COVID lockdown for a while. I know you had COVID. I said you lost your sense of taste for a little while. I guess that was a new experience for you.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. I was just like, I didn't even feel like eating. I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to.
And you really couldn't taste anything?
But it gave me time. I couldn't taste nothing at all.
How about smell? Did you lose the smell too? People say you lose the smell sometimes also.
Very lightly.
Oh,
very
wow.
lightly.
No, I said the food's probably not the most delicious there. Anyway, maybe it was a good thing depending on what you're eating over there.
Well, I don't go to the chow hall. I actually sit there and eat inside the room like we cook.
Oh, okay.
So I don't go to the chow hall that much because the chow hall food sucks. So I don't go there.
No, there were a couple. I forget the name of the YouTube page. There's a couple girls talking about you on YouTube a while ago. I saw it was just all negative thing, but one of them said that she worked with you. Were you a cook at one point, or did you help do the cooking there?
No, I was working. The only time I worked was in a central kitchen. That was bakery.
Oh, it was a bakery there. Oh, that's good. Did you enjoy that, or did you like to bake?
I did enjoy the job. It was very interesting. But unfortunately, you have to have a GED, so I went back to school.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Are you still going to the school now?
No, I'm actually working full time.
Oh, you are? Okay. And what kind of job do you do there?
It's an 80 worker.
What kind of worker is it? What kind of job?
It's an 80 worker. Like, you sit there and you help people. Like, you push them.
Oh, okay. Good. Oh, definitely good.
Like the elderly. You're basically helping elderly.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's very nice for you, for sure. And you said as far as the food, heading out there, is there like commissary? You get like the quarterly packages there at that facility? I'm pretty sure, if I remember, you get the walk-in horts in a couple of places. You get the quarterly packages. Do you take advantage of that at all?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
I do.
Are you a single cell? Are you in a dorm, or are you in the? Do you have a single unit?
No, I'm in a unit.
Okay. And one thing we talked a little bit about it yesterday. But even you get your thoughts on it. Dana Gray, who's also at your facility, someone I've been friends with for a long time. She just sent me in the mail a condom and something I never even heard of before. Dams. I guess some kind of contraceptive. Looks like a big fruit roll-up kind of thing. And they hand out condoms in a woman's facility. I posted this online, and all my followers went crazy. Like, why are they handing out a condom in a woman's facility? They didn't realize there's actually transgenders. The law passed. I think it was like SB Bill 132 or 31. I forget what it was. But how has that been for you? Have you experienced transgenders there? Because it's not so much that, like, if you're a legit transgender, I mean, you really identify as a woman and you're not attracted to women. I guess that's one thing. But from what I hear, all you have to do is say you identify as a man, and they have to let you in. And that just opened like the floodgates of, wow, this is a little dangerous. But now that they're handing condoms out, it's almost like the facility doesn't care. So what are your thoughts on that? And have you seen almost like the dangers of like the negative side of this?
Actually, I mean, for me, we signed a petition where they did not come, but it didn't go through. Of course, they came. But I'm actually friends with a few, you know, and they're very sweet, like they're nice.
That's good.
So I really don't get into that issue, you know. That's like, once again, like politics.
Yeah.
I don't get into
It's probably
politics.
smart. It's probably a
know.
smart thing. That's for sure. I mean, do you follow that on like the whole political thing and the who's going to be president and Trump and this? Do you watch it all? You don't even bother with it at all, or is that a popular thing at your facility? Do people actually follow along? Who's a governor, who's not a governor, and who's going to be president?
Here we follow along, but not that much. You know, it's mainly just working, going to school, just programming.
If you had the power, if you were, President Fernandez or Governor Fernandez, what changes would you like to see at your specific facility? Like, what are some of the positive and negative things that you see there? And what would you like to see change? You know, what would make that facility better for everybody?
I think that if it was up to me, I would change the women that have already served their full sentence, and they go back to board. They go to board and they get rejected. Like, I think that's very unfair because of the fact that being in prison is trauma itself. You know, because you don't know the next. You know, you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know who they are. Like, they probably had it harder than you, and you're trying to change. So, you know, I would sit there and want to grant the women that have served their time and are doing good and making that change, you know. Because it's very hard to make change in prison because it's just like being out in the streets, just with aggressive women, you know.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on, we just did a big podcast with Dana Gray when she came on, talking about life without parole, basically called the other death sentence. You know, what's really what it is. You know, it's just a slower. But I'm sure your hopes that it will be reversed too. But talk a little bit about, like you said, some of the women there who have served so much time, like decades there, who have completely changed. And would you like to see that reversed to where, hey, at least give them a chance for parole? And how much hope do you think that would bring people, even for the chance of parole?
I think that would be a good idea, you know, because I've run across a lot of lifers that deserve to sit there and get paroled, you know, that are just changed. And you could see it, you could feel it, you know, the way they talk, the way they walk.
Yeah.
It's a whole different, you know. They're not the same person, you know, just like me. I'm not the same person, you know. We still look the same, but we're not the same person. We've grown, we've matured, you know. We know right from wrong is the same because, you know, when you're young, you're just doing whatever, you know, whatever comes to mind, you know, but you have to go with structure now, you know, and it's all up to that person if they want to change.
And what would you say, or what kind of, like if you were out tomorrow or somebody, any woman in there, you said you have the structure there, they're walking the right path, they're doing good, they're staying sober. But when you get out back to the real world, that structure's gone. So now you can do anything you want. What would you do to kind of keep that structure? Or what would you recommend to somebody coming out that, hey, we got to keep some kind of a structure here because no one's going to be looking over your shoulder. Sometimes you got to watch out for yourself. What do you think? What advice would you give somebody coming out to keep that structure?
You know, you can't tell that person what to do. They gotta want to do it. They gotta do it on their own. You know what I mean? Anybody could sit there and talk. Yeah,
definitely a good point. So I think once they get that revelation in their heart, I guess that's like number one. Like, I want to change, I want to be better. And then I guess, you know, not that it wouldn't matter. You know, drugs will still be out there, alcohol, you know, any other things you can get in trouble with. But yeah, obviously faith is strong too. But yeah, I can see that, you know, that first most important thing is the change in their heart. How quick did that happen for you? Like, obviously once you got to the facility, did you have to come in there kind of like hard as a rock to kind of, hey, I don't know what's going on, you know, or how long did it take for you to really?
When I first came, it took me a while to change because the people that I was around, you know. But that really goes with, you know, when I came, I didn't even know what my sentence was. You know, my attorney didn't tell me what an outwap was. So I didn't even know what that was. I thought it was just a lifer. I was going to sit there and do my time and, you know, get out and, you know. But I learned it here in a group, what it was. And it was like I was resentenced all over again because when you make that change, it like really hits you, you know. So.
How long did it take for you to really wanting to, not just wanting to change, but I'm sure there's that initial, I don't know if it's fear, anxiety once you got there, finding out what LWOP really was, to really, I don't know if I can use the word settle in, but almost come to grips with what it is. Hey, I got to change. I want to do better. How was that did it happen in the first few months, first year? Or how long did it take before you really started getting that into your heart where, I think I want to get some help here and try to be a better person? How long did that take for you?
For me, it's about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided, a lot of people tell me, like, hey, you know what, you're going to go home, you're going to go home. Because, of course, everything's changing.
Yeah.
So I basically had to make a change. I basically, you know what, they're right. I can't sit there and feel sorry for myself and be like, oh, fuck it. Like, I can't go sit there and do all that, So I think, it takes you time. It takes everybody time to sit there and change. I think, like I said, it really depends on the person, if you want to grow, if you take the advice, if you take the classes, and you take it seriously.
And is there anything that you want, if you have like the platform, you have the next couple minutes to yourself, what would you want to tell everybody? Really about who you are. Obviously, there's people have one image of, who you are with the case and all that, but what would you like to say to everybody, about change in your life?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I like to keep to myself, so I really don't care what anybody says because they're not God, So I really don't have no answer for that question, because everybody sins,
All right. Well, there you have my conversation with Pearl Fernandez. Now, she didn't want to talk about the case, like real, detailed about the case. I've talked to her about it personally, as I've known her and been talking to her for a while now. But I actually want to respect her wishes and not get into that. But, she's going into detail about, what happened and especially with the caseworkers, her negative feeling towards them because they said, they could have prevented anything. Their charges were brought against them, which I was happy to see. But then the charges were dropped. About all the caseworkers, which was just, I can't even fathom how the cases were dropped against them. At least something should have happened, but it's basically nothing. But if you haven't seen the documentary, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, it was a case. If you're not familiar with it, go back and watch that documentary. Then, come revisit this conversation with Pearl. Anytime you have a case of child abuse, torture, and murder, it's actually very delicate. We touched a little bit about the trials that she has had in prison. And some of you might think, good, she tortured and killed her child. It's understandable. Part of the podcast and what I do is to give them a voice and a platform. Talk about a little about who they are, because some of them, like Pearl, I don't think she's ever spoken really publicly before, as a lot of my guests do. So like them, hate them, or just want to learn about them or hear from them and maybe study their minds or whatever it may be. That's kind of part of the reason why I do and why the people I have on the show. So I hope you enjoyed or learned maybe something from her. Maybe you're angry hearing from her. Maybe you're happy, but you get to hear from somebody who's never really spoken publicly like this before. But anyway, that was Pearl Fernandez. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We have a bunch of new guests coming up. Tiffany Cole, who at one point, not any longer, she's not even on death row anymore, but she was the youngest woman on death row, along with Amelia Carr. I think she was like 2020. I think it was Diane Sawyer, I believe, did an interview with both of them together, Amelia Carr and Tiffany Cole. I don't think they're friends anymore. They're not housed at the same facility. But Tiffany I've known for years and years and years. I just got approved for a video chat. So once we hook that up, we'll be doing that. She's real fun to talk to. This will be a blast to talk to her and a bunch of other people for the audio podcast and for the video podcast. We couldn't hook up the video chat with Pearl. We tried it, and the GTL app is wonky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we just decided to do the audio one, and obviously I still do a video one here, just with pictures and stuff are up, just so I have something for this page too, a little more content. So again, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, whatever your feelings are towards Pearl, again, I just give this platform just to hear from them themselves, whether you believe everything they say or you don't believe a word that they say. at least you can hear from them, not just what a documentary says about them, whether it's truthful or not truthful from the documentary side. At least we get to hear from them directly. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we got a lot more to come. Until next time, see ya.